that could have an unparalleled and unprecedented impact.
I've got a story to tell. Have you?
And we're back.
Behind the wall wearing different clothes.
Yeah. I don't know if I am. I pretty much wear. I was a little offended when somebody told me the other day I wanted to make a hoodie that said, "This is not the hoodie I wore yesterday." And I think that that's deeply relatable to most guys. I'm a hoodie fanatic. I had nice hoodies, bad hoodies, dirty hoodies, clean hoodies, and goody hoodies, whatever you call them. But yeah, all that to say, I said, "Hey, this is a cool idea for a shirt." And the response was, "I don't get it. Don't like it."
Yeah.
You know what? Just get out of my face. So anyway, that is, I do deeply want a hoodie that says that. But anyway, I'm back.
But
we're both
here's
back.
my question though.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be better as like a sticker? Because then if you wore that hoodie, you would wear that hoodie all the time and people would go, that is the one that says it's not the one, but it is.
But that's what's funny. It's like that shirt that says "read front" and say what you think, and then you go to the back, and you go to the back or to the front, and it says "read back, tell me what you think." Like, and they just go back and forth. It's just funny. I think it's funny.
But it would be, yeah. I just think that it would be the same hoodie though.
Oh no, it would be.
Yeah.
It would just say that, but I just think the point is like they'd want to go, "Did you wear that yesterday?" No, you didn't. And then they're stuck in it. And I get to wear the same comfortable hoodie every day.
I have this shirt in like every color that they offer. And my
it's a Magellan shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, my students mess with me. And they're like, "Why do you wear the same thing all the time?" I'm like, technically it's not.
I have Magellan.
But I like what I like.
I feel like I have the Magellan. Actually, I have the even cheaper brand that's Heartline or something like that Sam's Club sells. And I think my dad wears Magellan, when I see Magellan and I see the Heartline or whatever it is, I look at it and go, that shirt screams, I don't have enough money for PFG. And that's why I buy it. I buy the brands I buy because they're just cheaper.
Yep. I saw a thing. This dude's on Instagram, and basically Academy Sports has incorporated on their Magellan's fishing line cutter on their shirt. And he's like going in there saying, "They stole this idea from me. These are my patents and these are my pending patents and blah, 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 blah." And he's just going off about it, wearing the actual shirt. And I just think, yeah, but you might have like a patent where it's this, but they got around it because it looks different.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I sympathize with that person because sometimes we have people, believe it or not, that sign up for things and just download all of our stuff. And that's just a risk we're willing to take. But I don't know. It's just kind of like, it's a shirt.
Yeah. And like how much money exactly do you think you will make with the shirt? Because majority of the guys that I know that wear those shirts, that wear these shirts, like I can't tell you the last time I went fishing was 2 years ago at the beach. Before that, I think I was like 10.
Yeah, but you get a good redneck. You get something a good redneck likes, man, and then that's millions. The South be buying those left and right.
Yeah.
Like comfort color shirts. Everybody in the South wore those, but they were from New England. And it's like, I don't think you wearing that shirt. I don't think it is where you think it's from.
Yeah. Comfort colors used to be the jam in student ministry about 10 years ago. Everybody wanted to know, are we getting comfort colors?
I ordered thousands and thousands of dollars in comfort colors. And then you know what? Gildan bought them. Gildan, because they never had their stock in. And Gildan was like, "Oh, we'll do this." And then Hanes came out with the beefy tee. And I'm going to tell you something no high school girl wants to wear is the beefy tee.
I'm going to tell you what I always wear. The beefy tee. That is my shirt of choice. People ask me what shirt size I am, and I say a hefty bag with sleeves.
Do you think if we were this funny and unfiltered on YouTube, people would like us more?
I feel like people like us pretty well.
Do they though?
I don't know.
I've heard negative reviews, especially about hoodie ideas.
Well,
and I just don't know if it's appropriate.
Well, it might just be because it's Pride Month and they don't want to hear you talk about it.
Not anymore.
Oh, it's not.
I love all the memes that come out.
Yeah.
July 1st.
It is July. You know what's crazy? I saw this. I don't know if you saw this.
What?
So today is the official halfway point between the year 2000 and the year 2050. Dude. Tomorrow, we will be closer to the year 2050 than 2000. It makes me a little sad because I started thinking about all the people that probably aren't going to be alive.
I didn't think about that. I thought about, good Lord, we're old.
Yeah.
Like I'm just old, man.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You are old. It's also the thing where, like, if Marty McFly went back.
Yeah. He'd go back to the 90s.
He'd go back to the 90s.
I was there. They need to do a Back to the Future with Tom Holland and do that. I think it would be just as popular.
Who do you think would be Doc? Like Bryan Cranston?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you something that's probably going to get some of our guys behind the wall mad at me and give me some street cred with some of the guys. I do think Bryan Cranston could be good, but I'm a fan of Rick and Morty, and I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I'm familiar.
It is one of the most brilliantly written shows, but it's written. They can't. It's inappropriate, and I'm not telling you it's okay. So just if you judge me, whatever. God uses broken people. But all that to say, the whole premise of the show, they said, isn't it weird that a kid hangs out with a disgraced nuclear physicist and their best buddies? What if we made a cartoon about this? And that's the whole cartoon is an alcoholic, crazy-haired, smartest guy in the universe and his idiot grandson, and they just go do.
At least in that they made them related. Just as you're just kind of told to accept that relationship at the beginning of Back to the Future.
But I do think that kind of tells you a little bit about, and I think maybe we look back on that and go, ugh, but maybe that was because it wasn't as inappropriate of a time. Like, because I just remember there were old, like, we had an old grandpa type figures, and I had guys that poured into me, and so there were people, like, I would go on day trips, like fishing with guys sometimes, and I had guys that poured into me and things like that, and that was normal. And I just think it's kind of sad that we always look at it like it's weird now.
That's fair.
I think it speaks more of your brokenness, John, that you can't allow a nuclear disgraced physicist to hang out with a slacker high school kid. I don't understand.
I mean, I can allow it. I can allow it. I just kind of figure he might be doing something he's not supposed to with his nuclear physicists.
I got real judgmental at the end just to be funny, but it wasn't that funny.
Well, so anyway, we've had some really good commentary here about pop culture, what we wear. But the truth of the matter is, this is all because we just need a break from the summer burnout. But nobody's telling you.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Why do you think summer, the question that we'd kind of proposed is, can be even more exhausting than the school year for youth pastors? But I think I'm just going to boldly ask this question. Why do you think summer is more exhausting? Why do you think it is more exhausting than the school year?
I think it is. I think it's more exhausting because you're running later hours on stuff more. And so you're doing more. I mean, I just remember being an intern, and I wish that, I don't know. I wish interns at most churches, and it was actually a good church. I wish that we were better to interns. But I will say, as an intern, I just remember they planned around the idea that I would just be busy and be running. And so I remember as that guy, I loved it. I ate up every minute of it. It was like, hey, we got 200 or 300 guys coming to this, students coming to this event, and we need 4,000 water balloons. And then you just go, that's not normal Wednesday prep. And so making 4,000 water balloons, or we did this thing called, they called it Super Summer. There is a camp called that, but they just called it Super Summer. And it was a 3-night event where I bought $2,000. This was 20 or 15 years ago. I bought $2,000 in Costco groceries alone just for the games on the food games. And so we did this 2-mile long relay race on the last night, and we did messy game night. And so you just add up all the things that you do. I think what's hard is that we are in, and I think it's worse, John, than it's ever been, because we're in a culture that doesn't slow down, and it keeps getting faster. We are I hate this word because it's like trauma. It gets overused, but we are constantly stimulated. So between, TikTok, Facebook, and our phones, and the dopamine issues, your phone does just as much to you without you having it as with it, because you're anxious when you don't have it now. It's just it's crazy how that affects us. So we were overstimulated. We've got nothing slows down. And then on top of that, you're asking us to run like a kid and to run on that kind of deal. So anyway, it used to be fine when it was phones were whatever, and we had Facebook and that was it. And then it was like, I'm 25, I'm 30. We can have a crazy summer and go all out and then rest, but you just don't get that chance to catch up anymore. It's a long answer, but that's what I think. What do you think?
I think, just speaking from my experience at my church, there is some unhealthy expectation without a willingness to recognize practices that are in place that are hard to work around. So, see if I can land the plane here. If you look in June, right? So June for us, we have VBS. We do VBS from babies through seniors in high school here.
Yeah. It's different.
It is an odd thing,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've got probably 50 high schoolers that serve in VBS.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have like 90 kids that come to VBS. And it's one of the biggest points of entry for visitors every year. So it doesn't make sense for us not to do it. Like the first couple of years, I would get real frustrated. I'm like, this is so dumb. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then I recognize like, well, it's the biggest point of entry throughout the year. Like I've got more visitors during VBS than I do during D now, which is wild. And it's very laid back. So I do that week.
Weird. Are they mostly young? Are they mostly like sixth graders, or are you getting high schoolers too?
I'm getting high schoolers too.
That's so weird. It's
Yeah.
good. It's just interesting.
Yeah, it's really strange. So there's that week, which is crazy busy. Then the following week, we typically do something church wide. So like this year, we went to the Braves game, and then I had like a lunch. Also, this summer, my daughter had an emergency surgery, so it kind of threw me off on my 1 week off. And then we went straight into an associational camp where my students are expected to serve. And so I've got 100 kids serving at it. And then it goes straight into another camp that we have kids serving, and we got 50 kids serving at that. So there's nothing I can really do to plan. I just kind of have to join in on that stuff. Those things are all week-long things. Late nights, overnights, long nights, and it's just constant. And then there's expectation that I provide things for students that are not a part of it. And it's just, and then I get people mad at me because their kid can't go to it because their kid's serving, and we're punishing kids for serving. So there's that. And then we go straight into beach camp.
So can I just throw this out to you? Like, I hear that phrase a lot, like, you're punishing me for serving because I don't get something. And part of me wants to go, I think you missed the point of serving, Bill. Like, the whole point is that you're giving of yourself and you're giving something up. So
yeah.
It just irritates me when people say things like you're punishing the kids. No, your kids should be getting out of pouring into kids and getting some out of that. And then you got the whole other group of kids that they're not serving, and I want them to serve too. Like,
and then you got a whole group of kids that are serving only because you're going to sign off on their service hours.
That is 100% right. And nobody's shortchanging anybody.
Yeah.
It's called being a servant. I'm sorry.
That's the thing that drives me nuts is I have a large group of students who serve just for the purpose of getting service hours. Right. And I think that the heart's out of place. And so we brag about these kids because every time the doors open, they're serving. Yep. It's like, yeah, but every time the doors open, they're serving, not for God's glory, but for the service hour.
Timmy got a scholarship because all is godly serving. I think I do think that at that point, I don't know there's a lot you can do other than just know. I think you can treat that like a missional hour or a missional moment with those kids and hope that you reach them. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's going to be true what Jesus said. They just get their reward out of it. Like,
yeah, that's what you get.
The sad thing is, I think that's on parents more than it's on kids. Like, my parents it's just expected that we served growing up, and we served, and it was
that was us too.
Yeah, I mean, when you get old enough, you just do it.
Yeah. And then when I lived in Nashville, and you were in Nashville, so you knew this, but it's called the volunteer state, right? And so they have a program where if students get a certain amount of hours while they're in high school, the state of Tennessee will pay for their associate's degree.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if they do a certain amount of service hours while they're in their first 2 years of college, the state of Tennessee will pay for their senior year and for their bachelor's degree. And so the way that works is it's at state universities. So you have a lot of kids who stay in state, UT Martin, UT Chattanooga, UT Knoxville. Those are kind of the schools that honor that.
Yeah.
But it makes it really hard when you're trying to teach kids about serving the Lord, and they're serving so they get school paid for, which is the reward.
You get what you get, and you don't pitch a fit.
Yeah, well, I have that conversation all the time. Well, let's what would you say are some early warning signs that you might be heading into burnout in the summer?
And we've talked about this before. I hate using the word burnout because I think I heard it the other day with a young woman who'd been doing ministry for 2 or 3 years, and she told me, I'm just burned out in ministry. And I went, girl, you ain't burned out in ministry. Like, because she was working 2 jobs and she had been doing that for a couple of years. And I'm like, you're just not. I worked 80 hours a week for 15 years before I thought I was burnt out. Like, it takes a lot longer. I do think maybe we switch that burnout that we're using to discouragement.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think discouragement mirrors burnout in a lot of ways, but it takes a long time to burn out. And the problem is we're an obsessed culture with vacations. Like, I even meet pastors now. I used to not meet pastors that did this, but I'll meet people all the time that are like on their 4th. I haven't taken a real vacation in like a decade. And I got people that tell me, well, we went to Cancun last year, but it just wasn't enough. I'd have liked that, you know. So, but I think that you can get to the point, especially as a pastor. I think that the issue is this: when you start, the way to fix discouragement is not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The way to fix discouragement is to make changes, small changes in your environment because things are draining you. And so I think that the warning signs for that discouragement or that feeling of burnout, because I think that discouragement that feels like burnout, if not dealt with like discouragement, eventually becomes burnout fat. It exponentially increases burnout.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just tell you, for me as a pastor, when I start seeing people as problems and not as ministry opportunities, that's a red flag. When I start losing my passion and joy, and this is kind of different. You don't have to have joy. You don't have to love preaching to be a
Yeah.
pastor. That may not be your gifting. You may love pastoring, but when the things that used to fire me up don't fire me up anymore, and it's not because they're shifting to something else, it's just I just feel worn out. I think you've got to start saying, okay, what's draining me? What do I change? And then I think this is the crazy thing. Sometimes I'm hard on head pastors because they need to do better, and they got to do better pouring other people. But I will also say this: I'm going to be hard on student pastors because, and I'm speaking to the choir here, but I'm going to tell you, you sometimes get burned out and hurt and beaten up because of your own fault, because you don't go to bat for the things that you know you need.
Yep.
And so whether it comes to I need to jump into a cohort, whether it means I need to tell my pastor, hey, I really believe that we need to make a shift on this. I need you to meet me halfway because I'm not able to do what this is most important, and I'm not able to. You got to be able to cast the vision to your pastor. If you have a micromanaging pastor, that's hard. But a lot of times you have pastors that they want to see a certain result, and they need to know how you're trying to get there because they in their mind think it's going to work a certain way. So you've got to be willing to stand up, man up, woman up, whatever up, and just be able to say, this is where I stand. I need, and if I can't get there, I need your help on doing it, because that's your pastor's job. But I would say when people are problems, then that's an indicator that you're discouraged, and that you need to deal with it. And when the things that excite you or that you're passionate about no longer excite you, I think that's the other issue.
Yeah. And I would just say this as a caveat to kind of tie this up in a bow.
Yeah.
I engaged in a Facebook conversation in a private group about burnout and what it reveals about people. And there's a youth minister who I won't use his name, but he very much likes, use a thesaurus here. He very much likes growing Jesus relationships, if you catch my drift. And he said burnout is a sign that you're not called. And I just want to say that is crap. That is not true at all. And you just need people.
Let me tell you what that means, John. That means that joker, this guy, and I know who we're talking about, has never done a day of real ministry. He's probably done fewer days of real ministry than he has throwing rocks. So if that's your deal, you've lived a very privileged time. But if you don't feel like quitting at least once every couple months or once a quarter, you're probably not doing ministry.
At least once a year.
So, yeah, you should. Here's what let's say this to you. Here's how I think you alleviate the burnout. Here's the thing. Good leaders, this is just a quote for free. Good leaders don't complain about problems, they find out how to solve them. And that's going to be the issue. Now, the solving may not always be what you want, but I'm going to give you something that I think you need. This is, we're going to offer a couple of these things as free kind of lead magnets, but some of them are just special for you guys. And so here's what we're going to do. You're going to look, and below there's going to be a link to a Canva template where I want you to start planning your fall now. I want you to give yourself an hour to half an hour to an hour a day. This is in July. I don't care if it dates or not. This is July 2nd, 2025. I want you to start every day giving an hour to half an hour of prep time for the new year. That is, if you need to go to the series and pick series that we have available because they're all excellent and get those ready, do it. If you are looking at what you're doing, if you're in a cohort and you're thinking about how can we help you build a series this year, then go and do it now because we need some lead time too. So as you do that, we have a dashboard that's going to say August, September, October, November. In fact, I'm even going to show you this real quick via the screen share. Is that okay, John?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I want you to do. It's going to be a Canva template, so it's easy to use. But I want you to look on here. You can change these as you need to fit your ministry because it's a template. But I want you to be able to, on this leadership dashboard, put August through August, September, October, November, December, and put down your midweek series. This is what I'm going to do. And don't be like, TBD. 3 months of TBD is not planning. That's just lazy. So decide and pray about what you want to do. Put your Sunday series in there. I want you to put when you're doing and how you're doing your leadership development. Go to touch points and just start sending leaders emails every Monday. When are you going to communicate with your parents? I'm sure they would love to hear that. Well, I'm going to do that on Thursdays, or you can move this around wherever you want it to move. All of that to say, you need to lay this out, and then I want you to think about in August. This can change when you get into the month. What are my 3 big monthly goals? What are the 3 things I need to get accomplished this month? And then you're going to say, how do I reach that? Because those are going to have steps with them. The other thing is you need to be making personal connections. This may be very simple for you. And you may say, well, that seems really simple. Well, I will tell you this. You may say it's simple, but when I ask 80 to 90% of student pastors, what are you doing to plan? What are you doing to help leaders? What are you doing to communicate with parents? The response is always not much. So this is a very simple, easy task and way to lay it out on a calendar and then save this. Save it as a PNG, make it your background, make it, or just put it on your computer and look at it, keep it up so that you can continually be thinking about where you're headed and where you're moving. That makes you a better leader. We're also going to give you guys a document that helps you think through this stuff that you can just write from Word and then fill this in. And so you have a whole fall planning moment. Here's something that is always exclusive just for you guys, is that we're going to have for you. There we go. Here's what we're going to have for you too, is that scared me a little bit. We're going to have fall calendar templates for you. We're going to have several options for you to use. And we just want you to be able to, once you get those dates laid out, once you decide what you want to do, event, speaker, series, that you can drop that down and you can just fill it out, man. It should be easy. Remember, the reason we're here is not to do your job for you. It's to give you the tools to do it better and faster, because you don't need to do ministry like you're Ian. You need to do ministry like you're Bill, John, Danielle, Hannah, whoever it is, Joshua. Do ministry your way. But here's the deal. Everybody knows carpenters are unique in how they do their work, right? A carpenter who builds, he does good quality work, but he's using the same tools. And so we want to give you the best tools possible for you to make your mark. And I'm very excited. So when you go down below, I want you to start. This is the challenge for July, 1 hour a day, 30 minutes to 1 hour a day. You start planning, praying, and preparing. And by the end of July, I would think by the end of 2 weeks, you should at least have August and September, October planned.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no reason you shouldn't. And so when you're doing that, I want you to look at it 30,000 foot. Hey, here's what I want to accomplish, events and ideas and series. Then drop down to 20,000 foot. Okay, who's going to be speaking at these? What are these going to look like? What's the actual series going to be? Then 10,000, you get granular and you go, okay, I'm going to send this out to my parents. If your parents get a fall schedule in July, oh my gosh, think about how much faster they'll sign up for D now. Yep. Dude, I do my camp signups 9 months before camp, 9 months to a year before camp, because it gets people signed up. And so we'll talk more about that stuff later, but I think that's it. 25 minutes, we did it. So love you guys. We'll talk with you soon behind the wall.
See ya.